Welcome to Indiana Sports Beat Radio, presented by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington and Southern Stone Restaurant.
Looks over the middle, second guesses, fires, throws. Does he make the catch in the end zone? Yes! Touchdown! Oladipo to win it.
Another one!
He got
Another
it!
one! Another one! Huge hole! He's at the 30! He's gonna go! 10, 5, touchdown! Jonathan Taylor!
Worked out by Burke. Bounces into Cody. Puts it up. Scores!
Now, from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios, here's your host, Jim Coyle.
Hello, everybody, and happy Monday, if that can ever be said for a Monday, but it is, and welcome in. We've got Charlie Miller and, of course, the great Don Fischer joining us. Don, how are you doing, sir?
I'm doing well.
It's at least it's a pretty morning out, so I can say that. It's a pretty Monday morning, so there's that. Charlie, how are you doing, sir? How was your weekend?
Weekend was well, guys. I'm hoping everybody's doing well, too.
Don, you've got double duty starting up, so I'm trying to ignore everything that I can ignore about over the weekend. But I guess there's no you can't ignore it too long. Indiana falls to the Michigan Wolverines over the weekend, 29-7 up in Ann Arbor. And we're getting close to the end of the season, unfortunately, but that's where we are right now.
Well, there's no question, and probably that's fortunate because we are moving to the end of the football season, of which we have seen a lot of expectations shattered this year. And I think that's the biggest thing when you look at this ball club and the program right now is the struggles that they've had have really kind of taken everybody back a little bit and made this probably a more disappointing year than we've had in a long, long time because of the expectations that were there off of last year and the year before. They were 8-4 2 years ago. They were 6-2 last year. And then you come and you're 2-7 going into your final 3 games of the campaign. That's tough to take. And especially when you were expected to be much better than that and had, I think, about 17 or 18 starters back from the year before. So, you know, as everyone knows, injuries do play a big role in it, but nobody expects you to, you're supposed to overcome those injuries. And Indiana has not been able to do that thus far. And we're seeing a freshman quarterback that is struggling at this point in the season. He's struggling primarily because of his throwing. It's not that he can't. He is definitely a really good runner. I think the one thing you saw in that game, and I will give Nick Sheridan, the offensive coordinator, a lot of credit with what they tried to do offensively, especially at the outset of the contest. And Michigan had a tough time stopping Indiana's run game with Donovan running it. But at the same time, McCulley's throwing was certainly exposed in this game. He struggled to throw the football effectively. And that's got to change too. I mean, but again, this is a freshman learning against some of the best teams in the country, dealing with things that he's never had to deal with before, learning how to read defenses, going up against teams that are game planning for him because they're going to put pressure on you. The offensive line can't block well enough to keep the pressure off. The run game doesn't work when your blockers can't open holes. There are so many things that this kid's dealing with. So I put none of this on him at all, even though I think he's got to throw the ball a lot better than he did last week, to say the least. But it's such a struggle right now.
Yeah, I made the comment the other day that a year ago, Don, he was preparing for a sectional championship in high school. Yep. And this year he was preparing to go up to Ann Arbor, which is, like you just said, a whole different kettle of fish. But he'll have to move forward and learn, and I guess there's no way to learn to baptize him by fire. That's certainly what he's been thrown into, being the third man down. He was never expected to ever play in some of these games, but he did, and that's opportunities that I guess he can look to gain from. But the team, they've got to do some self-awareness and look into the mirror and see what some of the things that did not go wrong, that went wrong, that we didn't expect. The offensive line we talked about, and you mentioned there's 16 or 17 starters returning, and so it was quite disappointing. A few more games left in this season. Bowl eligibility is out the window, so now they can just play for pride if there's that. But they do have to finish the season, and so they've got a few more games that they've got to play.
Well, the challenge right now is on Tom Allen to keep these kids' heads up, to keep them fighting out there. I don't think there's much tougher a much tougher challenge that any coach has in dealing with this kind of a season when the expectations were so high and now everything's down in the dumper, so to speak. And how do you fix it? How do you keep kids motivated to continue to strive to get better? Those kinds of things. Maybe young guys, that's okay with, but these seniors and guys that are at the end of their college careers for the most part, maybe the end of their football lives for the most part, how do you keep those guys up when you're dealing with this negativity? And let's face it, they're getting the negativity from lots more from just it's really not coming from the team as much as it's coming from outside. And they're reading these things like everybody on social media is ripping them apart. It's a tough go. There's no question about it. So what I say is at this juncture, tune all that stuff out. The only thing, I mean, that's what coaches tell you. Get off social media. Don't be looking at that stuff. And they're right. But it's really hard for kids to do that these days because that's what they grew up with.
Charlie, I'm sure you've dealt with something like that in your athletic career. There's always ups and downs.
Oh yeah, I mean, you know, you want to pop your head into the student union when you just beat University of Michigan or somebody. You walk in with your head up high. When you lose a game, you don't want no part of the student union, right? You don't want no part of the IDS. I'm being just around the campus, right? And then now I can only imagine it's multiplied with social media, right? Because you have Twitter, you have all these outlets, and that's just the one thing. You got to think about the seniors. I mean, like Don said, let's face it. You hope you can keep some of those guys motivated because they're ready to move on. So you hope that they can also transfer the tradition of the LEO method. Whether you win or lose, you gotta keep your head right now. You must keep it because you are playing for pride. And pride for me stands for personal responsibility and daily excellence. You got to keep it right now. You got to. Because if you don't, it's tough because now that's going to go into off season. That's might affect recruiting. I mean, it might be a whole trickle down. I don't want to go too far, but you gotta play for pride right now.
Don, and for you, it's your part of your job is to bring excitement and all these things. And I imagine that's hard to do when you've gone through with these teams as well, but you've done a heck of a job of it so far. I can say that.
Well, I've had a lot of experience.
That's right. Hey, and I could probably say I was probably part of some of Don's experience. Thank you, Don. Thank you.
Well, the thing about it is, I mean, I love my job. I've always loved doing play-by-play. It's to me, it's so much fun. It's very fulfilling in that regard. The struggles are always dealing with losing. I mean, when you're winning, everything's okay. Everybody's having fun, and you enjoy it and that kind of thing. Dealing with losing is not ever fun. Especially for people who are competitive. And if I'm nothing else, I am competitive. Doesn't mean I win anything, but I am competitive. I'm going to compete. I'm not going to give up. And I think that's what you look for at this point with teams that are struggling. Are you going to still compete? Are you still going to battle out there? I didn't see Indiana not battling on Saturday. I thought the defense played better this week than they have the last couple of weeks. I still think they're dealing with so many injury issues that have hurt them. To see Tywan Mullen not out there and Reese Taylor, the two starting corners, they haven't played in 3 weeks or almost 4 weeks now in some cases. And Tywan's been hurt since the Western Kentucky game. So you're looking at a team that's battling some injury issues. You're seeing other kids step up and play hard. Maybe not with that same ability. There's a reason that these other guys were the starters and the other guys are backups. So we're looking at a team that's hurting at this point. And can they get well? I don't know if they can or not, but they have an opportunity this week. They got a Rutgers team that's coming in. They're battling their own demons. They've lost 4 of their last 5 ball games. So this is a ball club that you could beat. And I don't think there's any question that Indiana, if they give effort on Saturday, will have a chance to win this football game. And maybe that builds the confidence back again where now we've played Minnesota and now you got Purdue at the end of the year, a rivalry game. So there are a lot of things that you can still get this thing turned around with if you do it in the right vein and have the right mentality.
Yeah, Minnesota lost to Illinois over the weekend. That was a big surprise as well. So Minnesota also has had some injuries. So there's another team, like you said, if they could get 1-2 wins in a row, man, back-to-back wins does a lot for the mental aspect of the game. And you go into a rivalry game, then everything's off the table for that. Rivalry games, you never know what's going to happen there. So winning 3 games back-to-back, that would sure cure a lot of ills for this team.
No question. I do think that, and here's the other thing. We've seen Indiana and Purdue play at the end of seasons where Indiana has played had really tough years, and then they end up knocking off Purdue. And Purdue has done the exact same thing to Indiana, where Purdue has had a really rough go of it, and all of a sudden they step up and they knock off Indiana. And we're playing at West Lafayette this year. Do you think that wouldn't be? And they may be playing for a bowl or even maybe for a piece of the division title, depending on what happens here in the next couple of weeks. Of course, they've got a challenge coming up too. They've got Ohio State coming up. And so at any rate, long story short, it's going to boil down to Indiana and what Indiana's mentality is going into these ball games. And if they've given up the ship, we'll see it. If they haven't, we'll also see that. And I think that's the thing that you can hang your hat on right now.
I talked about double duty coming up for you, and man, oh man, it begins today in earnest, actually, because you've got the coaches show tonight with Mike Woodson. It's Southern Stone Restaurant. We've got the basketball game tomorrow night. Then you've got the Tom Allen show on Wednesday night back at Southern Stone Restaurant. So, man, you're a busy man this week.
Well, not only that, we got Northern Illinois coming in for basketball on Friday, and then Rutgers on Saturday at noon. So it's going to be that's what we got. We got that's what happens in November these days. They've changed things around to the point now where you have like 7 or 8 games, basketball games, and 4 football games in the month, and then you got talk shows for both programs. So this has been ongoing for several years now, so it's nothing new.
I'm sure this year it's a little easier, but normally, how difficult is it for you just to switch between football and basketball that quickly?
Well, the biggest problem for me is we have the Neil Tire and Auto Service radio network for football, and we have the CareSource radio network for basketball. We can't get these salespeople to understand that I've got to go back and forth with this stuff. And you go, can you get me the same sponsor so I don't have to learn 2 different ways to close a freaking commercial break here? I mean, that's the biggest problem. That, and of course, you want your voice to hold up. And as you get older, your voice is not quite as strong as it used to be, if you know what I mean.
Well, absolutely. But when you are doing that much, there's a lot of truth to that. But then you've got these double shows that are coming up, and the shows are a different venue. You've got to travel, come down for these shows Monday and Wednesday, and games in between. It's a lot of traveling.
Yeah, there's no question. It's a tussle, but it's really fun. I mean, it's not like digging ditches, guys. This is a lot more fun than digging ditches, trust me, or mowing lawns anymore. I still do that, and I get through mowing the lawn. I go, I got to get a riding more. This is not fun.
Well, we got basketball game coming up tomorrow night, the first of the season. What are you looking forward to in that?
You know, I'm really excited to see what this team does, especially in these first couple of weeks, just to see how they progress. You're playing a Eastern Michigan team that's under Stan Heath, a new coach there. Mike Woodson's new coach at Indiana. You got 2 rosters that have changed. So that always intrigues me to see how they all fit things together and what they look like at the beginning and how it will transition into the first couple of weeks of the year and see what they look like they're best at. I really think that this team is going to hang its head on defense. I think that's going to be the first thing you see, because they certainly did that in the Bahamas. That was the thing that came out of the Bahamas trip in the 2 games down there was their defensive play. So I think they'll hang their hat on that. We'll see if they're a better shooting team than they have been, because that's been a struggle here in recent years to get guys who could knock down shots and do it consistently. And I'm still not sure we're going to see that out of this team, because I haven't seen the consistency in practice. I mean, one day I walk in there and you got Parker Stewart knocking down shots, and then the next day you walk in there and it's Miller Kopp, and the next day you got Anthony Leal knock in 2 or 3, and you're going, oh man, we got a bunch of guys that can shoot the basketball, but the consistency of it is the question mark. But I do think that Mike's offense is suited for this team much better than what we've seen in the last couple of years. I think what he has done is instilled some confidence in these guys, and he's going to allow them to miss a shot or two and not get upset and understand that these guys are learning a new system, and it takes a little time. And when you're just practicing against your own teammates, it's great, but it's rarely as good as it needs to be to face outside competition. That's why you start these seasons with teams that maybe aren't the best that you're going to face by any stretch of the imagination, but it gets you ready, especially under a new system, to build confidence, to get comfortable with one another. And I think that's what you look for in the first couple of weeks of the season.
And Charlie, of course, starting out a new season, each year, like I said, Don said, there's kind of a different team, a lot of new faces on this. What are your expectations coming out?
I would say a lot what Don talked about. Let defense dictate offense. Just keep it simple. There's going to be a lot of expectations from what we've been hearing. Bahamas, Belmont, now margin for error, as Don talked about with players. Now they will have a chance in real games, so to speak, to actually see that flexibility, adaptability from Coach Woodson and staff. So the reaction response from the former players to what they were used to get after missing one or two shots, I think that's the willingness and the desire to play more defense, let defense lead your offense, and then find an identity. I mean, because we don't have one right now. Find an identity, right? So I'm not going to put too much in stock in anything other than also the advantage they have. I think the first 6 games, if I'm right, or 4 or 5 are at home.
Yeah,
so there's no travel.
They play St. John's on the road. That's the one
on the
game
road, right?
That's next week. That's
right.
A week from Wednesday. Yeah,
right. So a lot of the games at home. So you get a chance to get the fans behind you, getting that 6th player with the fans. So I look forward to just seeing just the adjustments, the flow, the play, their interactions. Are they playing with fun? Are they having fun? Right. So, yeah.
We got to let Don go so he can save his voice because, like he said, he's got a lot to do this coming week. And we don't want to be a part of wearing his voice out. So Don, anything else? But aside, we got the coaches show, the first coaches show with Coach Woodson tonight.
Yeah, we're looking
Stone Restaurant.
Looking forward to that. I mean, Mike's done it right. I did a Boys and Girls Club thing the last 2 weeks ago, and that was really fun with him. And so I'm looking really forward to these shows with him this year. Mike he told me this. He had they can't understand. I hung up on him once. I don't know why they wouldn't understand it. At any rate, Mike told me that he had a radio show and a TV show in New York when he was the Knicks coach. So he is used to this kind of stuff. So it's not like you're getting a coach that, when Mike Davis took over at Indiana, Mike hated doing these talk shows and stuff. And he talked so soft, when Mike was, when he was talking, I don't really think we're going to be, that kind of thing. But Mike is not afraid of the microphone, which is
Woody's a pro,
really
man.
good thing.
Woody's a pro,
and he gets it. And so it's going to be fun to work with him. And I'm looking forward to this week because I can't wait to see what this team looks like against outside competition. Since I did not go to the Bahamas, so I didn't get to see that. So I think it's going to be a lot of fun.
And I think a lot of people are looking forward to hearing you on the mic for a basketball game as well, man. And we look forward to that as well, Don. Can't wait till tomorrow night.
Yep, I'm looking forward to broadcasting a win.
Thank you, sir. We'll see you soon. I'll see you at Southern Stone.
You bet. Thanks, guys. See ya.
Great Don Fischer, the voice of the Hoosiers here on Indiana Sports Beat Radio. Looking forward to that. Yeah, he's got a lot to do this week, Charlie. He's got the coaches show with Coach Woody tonight. He's got the basketball game tomorrow. He's got the football show at Southern Stone on Wednesday with Coach Allen. So a lot to do there. Plenty to get going, man.
But the thing about Don, just like anything else, you've been doing it so long, man. It's like what you're doing when you love it, it loves you back. So So Don, I mean, like he said, when I asked him several weeks ago, how do you prepare? I just don't. I ask the questions, I let the flow happen, and I'm more than certain he's going to do the same thing. And I think a change of scenery is going to be really good for him too, right? Win, lose, or draw. I mean, you always want to support student athletes, football players. You wish them the best. You wish they could win more games, but I'm more than certain it's always a joy for him, and you can just hear it in his voice. And I think it means a lot to us as fans listening to Don, and I can only imagine what this week is going to be for him as well.
Yeah, I think he is looking forward to basketball, getting a little more excited. I'm sure it's hard doing those games. But, hey, we got plenty more coming up here on Indiana Sports Beat. Got lots to get to. We got basketball to talk about, football games to talk about, too. A weekend of the Big Ten. It was nuts, man. Ohio State barely gets by Nebraska. Wisconsin crushes Rutgers. We know that Michigan score. Illinois beats Minnesota. Minnesota was ranked even. So that was a shocker. Purdue destroys number 3 Michigan State 40-29. That is the second top 5 team that
coming
Purdue
on
has beaten this year.
They're coming on.
So no shock there. Penn State over Maryland 31-14, and Iowa barely gets by Northwestern 17-12. Got to give it up to Jeffrey the Greek, man. He called that. He called that last week. So yeah, got it. Hey, we got plenty more. Be back with Charlie Miller right after this.
We'll be right back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington and Southern Stone Restaurant.
Whether it's a celebration.
Hey, do you want me to bring in Colin, or do you want me to ask him to come on later?
Well, he's not even on there. He's just blank.
He's in.
He probably just opened up his screen.
Let me see if he can hear us. Colin, can you hear us?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Did you forget to set your clock back?
No, I'm just ready to go.
Oh, wow.
I just got on about 5 minutes ago. So
I thought we were doing it at 10.
Yeah, we are.
Oh, it's only 9.
Yeah, it's 9:23. I'm ready to go for whenever you need me. I'm just going to be working.
He's ready, man.
I'm just going to be working.
ready.
Oh, you're just going to stay in the lobby is what you're telling us. You don't need to come
right.
on right now. Okay, I got
you.
you. All right, we'll bring you on at 10 then.
Awesome.
That's cool.
What was that, John? What was that? The Hoosiers Fest. What was that? Just like another.
Oh, it was the Hoosier Hysterics, and they. I wish I could share this with Jim right now, but I'll probably share it off the air. A fan who had a run-in with one of the dudes, a negative run-in. I ain't gonna share this while we're live right now, but Jim would appreciate it.
Okay.
Oh, I've heard. I had a text sent to me.
I'm sure. Was it the tweet that I screenshotted a bunch of tweets I was going to send you about the band kid?
Before it happened, no, not even about that. But before it even happened, I was hearing negative stuff.
It didn't even look like anybody was there.
Probably wasn't, and that's part of it. They're clowns. He's a clown. He's a clown. He's a clown.
And somehow they got Bob Knight to show up still.
It's because Bob Knight does. I mean, I hate to say this, but I almost feel like they're taking advantage of Bob Knight in the state that he's in.
Who knows?
Now it makes sense because I got a text message from one of the guys asking me to come, and I'm like, "What is this?"
Oh,
they were just, yeah.
Charlie, I'm going to send you the screenshots that I'm going to show Jim later if he hadn't already seen them.
Cool, appreciate it.
All right, here we go.
Sign up. It's free. You can also catch Indiana Sports Beat Radio there each day at your convenience, or you can find it any place you podcast or on this station each weekday. If we're not on the station where you live, we should be. Ask for Indiana Sports Beat Radio.
This segment is brought to you by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington. Now back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington and Southern Stone Restaurant.
Welcome back, and man, it's a beautiful Monday out there. Looks like you could be out playing some golf right now.
Yeah, it's nice here too.
Golf.
It's nice here too.
November golf, man. That's always nice when you can squeeze that in. I bet there's going to be plenty of that going on today here at the Golf Club.
I guarantee
Studios.
That's right.
Charlie, a fun weekend. What was your weekend like?
Oh man, it was a good weekend. Just court time, man. I just learned by being on the court. So yesterday was at 8 a.m. until about 8 o'clock at night on the court. Different players, some 7-year-olds to 17-year-olds, and it's just always interesting, man. So Saturday I had a date night with my wife, so that's pretty cool. Got some time off.
Very nice.
Went to go eat. It's kind of kick back, relax a little bit. So good weekend, man. Just this is kind of like when Don was kind of off season talking. This is kind of like my off season, but I can't take too much time off. You get too relaxed. So, but I got to be content around this time.
Yeah, it's good that you're off seasons when everyone else is on, and vice versa.
Yes, and I can watch, and I can literally watch like this. I have a special interest because I want to participate this upcoming basketball season with you, and not just talk kind of hypothetically, to watch the games, to look at the plays in the Big Ten. I get a chance to do that with you in the NS Sports Beat this coming season, but they also relax a little bit. They kind of put that in my mind because it's tough to do that.
High school football. There's a sectional championship all last Friday. So that's
what I'm talking about. I forgot.
Going on down in Texas, down there as well.
I forgot. I went to go watch Josh Hoover play. I forgot. I didn't want to. I didn't not saying I was going to jinx him because I think he was like 271 yards away from 9,000 yards. I believe in his career. I took my 5-year-old son. Friday night lights, Texas football, great weather. And by the time we got to the game, they were already up 21-0. They lit it up. And they have about 5 or 6 players that are Division I prospects. And it was interesting to see because I've been out of the recruiting sector for a while watching it, but you had coaches on the field watching games. And that was like, wow, Auburn was there because they just played Texas A&M on Saturday. So that made sense. Air Force was there. But they were literally on the field watching the games, not in the stands. That was just like, wow, that's pretty impressive to see the progressiveness of recruiting. And that's got to be impressive for players to see coaches on the field watching.
Yeah, I feel sorry for Josh because I know the 2 games prior, the teams that they had played were set on just shutting down the running game. So they all focused on the run. So both weeks in a row, they ran for over 400 yards of offense. 2 weeks in a row. They said, "Oh, you want to stop me passing? We'll just run all over you."
No, yeah, he threw the ball well. He was precise. 1 pick. I think it was a miscommunication between the wide receiver and him. But at the same time, the running backs. They started. We left when they put in the second and third unit. I was paying that much attention. I'm seeing different running backs and wide receivers. And then Josh, Josh was a student of the game. What I love about this, I was watching him. He was literally with his head coach on the sideline. A lot of other players kind of talking, messing around. The game's over. They just won the District 2, but he was glued right next to his head coach watching the game. Everybody coming off the field, high-fiving, personal touches. I love that kind of stuff. When you
you're the second person that's done that.
PTs, purple. No, you got to have those, man. That means a lot. Those PTs, man. And to kind of share where that comes from is the ultimate PTer is Steve Nash, as he's a quarterback as a point guard, right? And literally what they did was you had some people follow him when he won back-to-back MVPs. And it was like, what makes him so special? We know he's a special talent, but what makes him so special? It was his touches. It was his butt taps. It was his, and they'll get the next one. And he had 248 touches in one game, right? When they were running and gunning and scoring all those points. That's what it's about.
Todd Leary was the first one I heard say that to me.
Yeah.
And you were the second one. I'm like,
you gotta have them PTs.
You can
PTs
see how
are
that's
big,
been
man.
ingrained in you guys. And for people who haven't gotten it yet, it's about embracing your teammates. It's about encouraging your teammates, but it's about physically, hey man, you're okay.
Hey, get the next one, best one. Hey, don't chase that one. Replace that one. Hey, get the next, so because you are the coach on the court. Ty Lee was a coach on the court. You may not score all the points, but you are the coach on the court, man. And then that means a big deal. I saw him do that on the field. Every time they scored, he was out there on the field, high-fiving the lineman, the kicker. Just the little things, man, that means a lot. So that was impressive to see.
Yeah, it's something that fortunately I was not privy to going through sports. It hadn't gotten to us yet, but yeah, I can see where that just brings camaraderie. It just brings everything together. It's about, you want to talk about Leo. That's a part of that. That's a part of that type of mentality. And you got to have that for a team.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the Indiana football team right now. That's probably the only thing that's holding that team together right now.
And unfortunately, this is the thing about sports. And sometimes we don't want to wait, but it's a long time process. Who knows? The last 2 seasons, you had a full season, then you had a half a season. Who knows where people were like mentally? I mean, you were locked in, right? That might have been a height of LEO. Now you got people gunning for you, game planning for you, wanting to embarrass you as far as play. And I think this might be a lesson learned for those guys, right? Really how to take all that character talk and to put into action.
5 Left says Josh Hoover is the second coming of Drew Brees.
Yeah, he was from Texas. He's short. Well, that and then he went to Purdue, right? But he's shorter. I think I get, but he's shorter. He has a gun for an arm. Yeah, has a gun for an arm. Good size. Yeah. So I can see that.
You heard Don talking about Donovan McCulley having kind of a rough weekend, but Donovan McCulley was not supposed to be ever playing in the Michigan game. Under normal circumstances, there was no reason for him to ever have been in that game with 2 quarterbacks in front of him. Of course, all that changed early in this season. So he was not only in the game, he was starting in that game and spending a whole lot of time in it and was being chased all over the place. But his legs showed that his capabilities are there. The passing will come around. Lamar Jackson, he's someone I think, all right, Lamar was not someone who was a great thrower in the beginning. Right. He can light stuff up now. I mean, he throws the ball downfield. Watching him yesterday, I mean, he's a wicked dude, man. You got to watch him in every which way. If he's not throwing the ball, he's running past you.
That's film study. That's probably a quarterback coach ex-quarterback he got with in the off season, watching film, working on mechanics. All those things, right? You end up evolving. I said this last week about McCulley. Michigan was going to game plan for him because everybody else was kind of fresh, right? So that was really good. It might have been a big shock and awe. I remember those shock and awe moments, right? Like people are game planning for you, literally making you make a second and third play. That was probably a good experience for him. Now, we don't want to hear about experience right now because they're not winning. But for me to him, I'm thinking he's taking this all in stride. This is all bonus. But there's really not a lot of expectation. You just hope they probably utilize his feet more to probably get the wide receivers and tight end core involved more. But this is good for him. I mean, it really is on the experience side.
And the good thing is the next 2 games that they do play against Rutgers and Minnesota, not quite Michigan. So he probably can get away with a little bit more, and he's going to have a little bit more experience that he's gained in that game and probably hopefully throw the ball a little bit better. I think that Nick Sheridan has got to game plan and continue to do that in a way. Short passes, integrating the tight end, running backs out in the flats. They're just going to have to do some things because they're not getting the pass protection. So they're just going to have to evolve with what you have at the moment.
You got to use what you have and be content with it. Because they change.
It's like having 6 or 5 guys out there that are 6 foot tall on the floor. Man, you got to figure out something.
You bet you got a game plan for it. You got to figure out your options and take what they give you.
Let's see. I know we're kind of off on breaks. Where are we, John, on that?
You got a few minutes still. You're good.
Okay. Good. Yeah, so that was a good and just a kind of a weird weekend in the Big Ten. Like I said, I mentioned some of those losses, but man, Purdue right now has a piece of the West title. I think there's like a 3-way tie, but they've got a game with Ohio State coming up. They do have a game with Indiana to end it. I don't know who they play in the middle, but that's going to be weird to see how that West Division. Again, you've got the West Division that's got several losses, and you've got the East Division, which you've got Ohio State and Penn State and Michigan now sitting up there at the top. But it'll be.
But they have
how that comes out.
They have an active quarterback. I think that's the biggest difference, right? I think that's the biggest difference. Winning some games, Iowa, winning games that you would think they would lose. I think it comes down to, again, the quarterback.
Tim asked, and there's no point in us really talking about this stuff this early, talking about people transferring out next year. There's no reason for me to guess. I blew that off too fast for you, Charlie. My bad. It's just
you got
said so. Penix and Hoover to compete for the starting quarterback next year. No, I don't compete. I don't think that at all. But this is way too early to talk about who will and who won't be here. Yeah. But if you want to be honest about it, I wouldn't count on Michael Penix being here. Michael Penix is a guy who's had 3 consecutive season-ending injuries at quarterback. I don't see that. I don't see it being 4. But what do I know? I'm not the coach. I'm not in there. But
exactly.
I would be highly surprised to see that. And it depends on what happens next year. Josh Hoover's coming in. He's coming in at mid-semester. He's not waiting till next year. He's coming in
right
at the break, so he'll be here for spring practice. And
right.
I don't know if I'm overrating him, and I very well may be. But in watching him play on his highlights and listening to him and talking to him, he's a very calm, smart kid who he's a quarterback. And you know what I'm saying by a quarterback.
Yeah,
he's got a quarterback mentality.
Yeah,
and to watch him throw the ball in every scenario, quick throws, deep throws, out throws, they're all on the money. He's got a very quick release. He's 6'1", which is a little shorter than you'd like, but as long as they get the protection. Drew Brees had no trouble throwing for a billion miles of yards in the NFL at 6'1". So I think that will not be a problem either. But I think that it will be a showdown between McCulley and Josh Hoover and Jack Tuttle, probably. Those 3 maybe, but we'll see how that. But that's
down there. Yeah,
that's just stuff for us to talk about if you want to just to make up stuff to talk about. But we got plenty more coming up, and we'll get to it. We'll be back with more Indiana Sports Beat Radio coming to you from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios, which it's a beautiful day out there to be playing right now. Back right after this.
We'll be right back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington and Southern Stone Restaurant.
Hey, we all need insurance. Man, Mondays I have to take a shower before because I have stuff to do afterwards, and it makes me hot. Sweating.
Charlie, check out those screenshots I sent you. If you haven't.
I am right now.
James, which is not going to happen, brother? Not going to happen. Which is not going to happen?
Maybe talk about Penix. Who knows?
Yeah.
I predict he'll be the starting quarterback for a group of 5 team next year. which, like I said, it's all speculation. There's no reason to assume anything, I guess. But
I think that he would be he needs to be in an offense that rolls out, that something's on the move all the time.
WKU. And I think they're losing their guy that was a transfer this year. I think he was a one-year guy.
Because he's got a cannon of an arm. That's a shame.
It's just he's had to change his game so much once you go through so many injuries. It is a damn shame.
Yeah, you think you gotta start thinking long term, man. You
got so many players announcing that they're done with football altogether because they're worried about their own health. I mean, that's really what he's got to be thinking about, I think.
Yeah, think about that, man. Yeah. Yeah.
What was his current injury, though? It was a shoulder? Wasn't it? Another shoulder?
But see, I don't question it, but I wonder the severity of the injury to a place in space where they were like, we're going to just shut you down. And we have to find a spark in Tuttle and McCulley. We got to find. I wonder. I'm not there. I just wonder. Was it something that was season ending, or was it something they just felt best? He just rest. It's just we'll find out one day, or we never will find out. But that's just hard.
Yeah, because
that's hard.
Because if you go back and you go back down, now you've got the team that went back up, back down. You can't game plan.
No,
you're game planning for this guy, and he keeps going down. And
you can't have an injury-proof game plan. Now we got to back up, and I mean, you gotta. I mean, now, I mean, really, you're talking about the coaches, their promotion, demotion, firings on the line. They got to find some solutions.
All right, here we go. 10 seconds.
Yeah. From AndyMooreHonda.com.
Come see us at the all-new Andy Moore Honda, now in Bloomington.
This segment is brought to you by AAA Insurance. Now back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington and Southern Stone Restaurant.
Welcome back on this Monday, rather. I was looking at the Tuesday basketball schedule to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios. A beautiful day out there. I'd be teeing it up right now if I wasn't here.
I love that.
I looked at the schedule the other day, Charlie, and there have got to be 200 college basketball games scheduled for tomorrow.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody and their sister's uncle seems to be playing tomorrow. It is just an unbelievable long list of games there. Go back up to the top, and I hopefully can pull down, the Big Ten, just to see how many are in the Big Ten. Which it's not. Oh, of course they're going to list it different. There we go. They do the Big 12 with numbers, but they do the Big 10 spelled out. I don't understand.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, virtually everyone's playing. You've got Akron is at Ohio State, Eastern Michigan, of course, at Indiana at 6 o'clock.
Mm-hmm.
Number 3, Kansas visits Michigan State at 7 o'clock. Bellarmine from down in Louisville travels up to Lafayette to take on Purdue, number 7 Purdue. Quinnipiac is going to number 21 Maryland. Jackson State travels to number 11 Illinois. St. Francis at Wisconsin, Eastern Illinois at Northwestern, Western Illinois is at Nebraska, Kansas City is at Minnesota, and Longwood is at Iowa. So tons of games in action tomorrow, man. Basketball is here. It is here in earnest. I don't remember that many games on the first day. It's like boom, but I think they changed the way that schedules and all that are. But
you think about,
man.
My bad, Jim. But you think about the exhibitions that are not there now, the scrimmages that take place.
That's true.
The traveling, they can start a lot earlier as far as with the whole team practicing. So you're like right into your preseason. So yeah, I mean that's a lot of games. That's a lot of coverage. So I can only think about the networks. I think about the small schools. how they're going to probably have some new buildings coming up next year with the money games. I mean, it is what it is, right?
Exactly.
So that's a good thing.
Go back to your first game for you. Remembering back the first game of the season, what was that like? It had to be all kinds of excitement, some butterflies, but you usually weren't playing anyone. You're probably I shouldn't say that, but you were playing in Eastern Illinois or in Eastern Michigan like they are here. Unless sometimes you were over in Hawaii or something like that when you were playing. The first couple of games may not, but you were soon would be playing against a Kansas or a North Carolina or someone like that.
First game was against was an exhibition game against a professional team from Europe. First game. Butterflies. Oh man, it was just nerve-wracking. And I didn't score any points. I was just smiles when you got your name called because we came off the bench. I think Andre and myself came off the bench. You had the starting core at the time. You had Allen, Henderson, Brian Evans, Todd Lindemann, Sharon, and somebody else. So it was good to get out there, run around, the nervous energy, cotton mouth, you get used to the TV timeouts. Every 4 minutes is a TV timeout. That's how you practice. You practice for those TV timeouts because you got to go as hard as you can every possession. So that was really good. And then the second game was like an athletes in action, play better against them. You kind of get used to it. And then the very first game was in Maui against Utah. Rick Majerus. Okay.
Oh, wow.
And first game against Rick Majerus, Utah. And great story. I didn't start, didn't know how much I was going to play. We just didn't really have good, solid point guard play. And all of a sudden, I'm bringing the ball up the court. I'm scoring. I listened to that game. I can't think of the commentator's name because I was cracking up because he was like, yeah, that's probably not a part of the play. Charlie just probably broke the play. He don't know what he's doing. And I was just playing. I literally just playing. And I ended up starting the second half. Point guard. Allen missed a big dunk. And that just swung the whole game around. Wide open fast break dunk. Second game, I ended up starting against Tulane. That's where I really got my lesson. That's why I go back to Cully. I would say Utah probably didn't game plan for me. I played a really good, solid game. Just was playing. I think Tulane game plan for me. that was a welcome to college basketball game. So it was good. It was overall good, man. Just kind of thinking back and reflecting.
Yeah, Joe pointing out that Bellarmine's got a brutal schedule. That team out. Bellarmine was a Division II school that very successful in Division II basketball. Moved up to Division I last year. Scotty Davenport down, a former high school coach down there in Louisville. And they've moved up, but they're playing any and everybody, which they're going to take their lumps, but they're also going to get a lot better a lot sooner. That's right. Done a masterful job of that. And the thing about Bellarmine, the reason I mention them is because they are in Louisville down there. They've built their program off of a lot of kids from Southern Indiana.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yes, man.
That's what they did. They built it off of a lot of kids from around that area.
You got to think too, when you have those schools, just to bring up a couple, like University of Southern Indiana, that D2 school, all Evansville, Kentucky, Covington, Kentucky, all those little cities. I mean, they have the Bloomingtons in mind. They have IU in mind, Purdue. But, I mean, you've had a lot of success at a school like a USI. You take a Bruce Pearl. I just saw USI played against Auburn. Former, Bruce Pearl who coached at USI way back in the 90s. Stan, I forget his last name, but Stan is the head coach there at USI. But that's really good to see when you have that. And that's right. Because, you have access to those players too.
A lot of people are wondering or talking about who the starting five is going to be. How much goes into who the starting five is tomorrow? How much does that matter tomorrow? I mean, I'm sure it matters. And there was a starting five in the Bahamas. There was a starting five against Belmont. But I think that some of those guys we kind of know, it's going to be Trace Jackson Davis. I'm pretty sure it's probably going to be Xavier. It's probably going to be Miller Kopp. Those three for certain. From there, I'm not sure. Race Thompson probably, just because. Other than that, I'm not going to say I know, because I don't know what's going on in the last few weeks.
Yeah, you just hope that it doesn't bother players who are used to starting, because that's a big mental thing. You want to start no matter what. Who knows why? You're just tied to it. But I would definitely say, I would even go, just if I'm throwing out a venture of intuitive guessing, I would have to say Race, Trace, Miller. You got three. I would think Rob. I mean, I think as a point guard, but then you got Parker, because I know he can shoot it a little better. I mean, so you got options, at least from what we hear. We'll see. Yeah, Stan Gerard, thank you for that. Thank you, Beck. Thank you. I don't want to. Stan Gerard is a really good player too. But yeah, so you got options, but hopefully it's about how you finish, not necessarily how you start, right? So you hope that they could take that all in stride.
Well, and it's funny you say that, because how many times that second half starting lineup is not the same as the first half starting lineup?
That's adjustment.
Whoever starts in the second half starting lineup is a lot more important than that first half starting lineup.
Okay, and I just mentioned that again in my situation, very first game against Utah. The way we started the game was not the same way we started. First half was the second half, and I remember being in the locker room how those adjustments are made. Coaches are talking in one area, players are talking. All of a sudden, okay, hey, here's what we're going to. So and so's going to guard so and so. Hey, we're going to look at this lineup. Be ready to go. Blah blah blah. So yeah. So adjustments. I mean, so how quickly can you adjust? Can all guys galvanize? That word I can only use based upon what Coach Woody wants to do when he came back, right, as a coach, where he formerly played at. And you just hope they can make the adjustments and play.
And not to go back, but over the last few years, that was not the case. Whatever you saw at the beginning of the game was exactly what you were going to see at the halftime.
Yeah.
It was always the same. And you didn't. And that was one of the biggest complaints that I had, was there were never any adjustments. And that's a gigantic problem, because there are adjustments to be made in virtually every game that you play.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that was confidence. I mean, I think we could talk about a lot of stuff, but I feel that was I think that was confidence holistically, not only with the players but coaches too. I think they knew something was up. So,
and I look forward to seeing. I look forward to seeing the different changes, the different amount of the lineups, because I think they're going to change depending upon the teams are playing, depending on who you're playing and what the game plan is, because it's not going to be the same every week. You're playing different styles of teams who have different styles of play.
Yeah, you're not a small team. I mean, you look at that roster. We're not a small team. You have diversity. You can mix it up a little bit as far as size. Now, again, if you take pride on defense and everyone can guard every position, I mean, Purdue to me is traditionally a fast team. Can you make adjustments against a team? Can you play with a team like that? You got a team a roster that's not small. So it'll be interesting to see and watch, the adjustments we're talking about.
And Indiana has been a team that has not shot the ball well lately in the last few years. I think that's going to be a difference. It's going to be a difference for other teams to have to adjust to. They're used to playing Indiana a certain way over the last few years. Now that's going to have to change for them as well. Sorry,
say that question again. Say it again, Jim. I missed it.
I said that the way that other teams have approached Indiana over the last few years.
I mean, look, you can't go into anything that you saw film-wise. You have to wait. I mean, even the film that you've been watching on any team, you can't go off of that. You can rely on probably something from these secret scrimmages that people were reporting it, but you can't really go off much because you have no idea. I'm more than certain, and that's due to that platform called Synergy. Right after any game, 24 hours after a game, you have breakdown footage. I think people will be going off that to recruit. I mean, to scout, and prepare.
Don mentions the team chemistry can be affected by players being upset by not getting enough minutes. Well, that's the same. Now you can say that everywhere. Anytime, and that's and I think that your only option to there is to play better or play harder and try to earn those minutes. But that's what you want. Iron sharpens iron, as you hear the coaches say. That's exactly what you want. You want the guys competing with each other to get those minutes.
And the head coach has been consistent saying, at least in the pressers, we are looking for players and we're going to recruit at every position. And we're looking to get the best players available. That's just competition across the board. No one's promising minutes. You got to earn it. So this game might be a testament of what has been going on. Say tomorrow's starting five might be a testament of what's been going on the practice.
Michelle points out that Michael Durr can surprisingly drain the threes. That would be a pleasant surprise to see, because if you got your big man that can stand out there and knock it down from the perimeter, that changes a lot for what they have to do to defend you.
Well, I mean, and I everyone can shoot threes. I mean, everyone can shoot at that level. I mean, I'm just being real. Like you're not playing at a powerful. Yeah, and you have to, right? So, can you rebound? Because long threes are long rebounds. Long threes are long rebounds. And that's typically now guards' responsibilities. Can you rebound those long threes? You got a big shooting a three. Guess what? They're not going to get back to protect the rim. There's a trade-off. You shoot them.
We were talking earlier with Don about how bad it feels for most Hoosier football fans right now because of the expectations. And these were legitimate expectations. These were not expectations that were based off of unfair numbers. These were fair expectations heaped upon this team, and they did not reach that. The good thing about this basketball team is I don't think that you can put many expectations on them other than your hopes, because it's new. It's a new team. It's a new faces. Half the team is, maybe not half, but close to half the team are new. You've got a new coach, new system, new coaches, new system, new everything. So I don't know how much expectations you can legitimately put on, although there will be expectations and should be there, because I think you have to have expectations to exceed. But it's kind of a blank slate. It's an open canvas for this team right now.
And that's what you hope the players are really buying into and committed to understanding. Like, there's no pressure on you. Go out here, do your best at playing the game you know, love, and respect. What got you to this level? What put you in this position? That's what you hope that will happen. And you hope that yesteryear does not creep in, right? The past isn't the past sometimes. You just hope that they can all play forward. And because it's a new roster, there's new culture. It's hard to place. It's hard to place any precedence on they're going to finish 7 in the Big Ten. I mean, that's a guess at best. Who knows? You got a whole new roster. This isn't Tecmo Bowl, right? You can't just take, what Miller did at Northwestern and what Xavier did at Pitt. It's a whole, you got to let things play out. And I'm hoping that we as fans do the same thing. Let things play out and let the adjustments take place.
We got lots coming up, man. Looking forward to Colin O'Neill is going to join us next. We will talk about a little golf, but we got lots more basketball to talk about too, as Jim Reamer is going to join us later. We got recruiting to talk about, as that never ends as well. Don with a comment. Good point. I think the coach has recruited that type of player. Just remember, he has inherited several of these guys. But the guys that he's inherited, I think he's going to do a lot with. So we'll talk about that. That's something else that, we should talk about. The guys that he inherited. There's guys he brought in, and there's guys he inherited. We'll talk about that later. Colin O'Neill is going to join us next, though, from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios. We're coming back with plenty more right after this.
We'll be right back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington and Southern Stone Restaurant.
If you're in the market. Man, I wish we had a train just to get you up here once a week.
I gotta figure it out, man. It'd be great. Do you do any games? How do you? What you do like
Post game,
pre-game, post game? Just do post game.
Well,
Got it.
I'd like to do pregame stuff. That may be something me and you could do.
You got to find a sponsor for that, or I mean, I don't know.
We don't
I'm
have
asking.
to,
I don't
we-
know. Okay, got you.
Yes, young Will. Just in the middle of doing the show. How are you? No, you caught me on a break, luckily. Okay, a little bit.
Is that
Now,
Will?
how does he not know we're in the middle of the show? He's a former producer.
Maybe he just assumed you'd be at break and he got lucky.
Goofball. What a goofball.
I need to talk with him still. I'm gonna do that. Try to do that today, actually. Colin, can you still hear us?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Just want to make sure.
I can't see myself. Can you guys see me?
No, your
Nope, not
camera's
at all.
off.
What's that?
Your camera
Camera's
looks
off.
to be off.
Yeah, it shows that it's on though. It's probably my laptop.
It's not a big deal unless you just want to.
You go into the StreamYard settings where you see on the StreamYard and pancake. No. And there a thing he can hit
For a logo, that's what you're talking about.
No. For his camera.
Well, I think his camera's on. I think it's just the way his laptop is set up is what he's talking about.
But it may be through StreamYard as well.
Let me see. Yeah, under the settings, if you have that option, Colin, there is a camera drop down where it gives you the options to switch what camera is being operated, and that if you
That's
get an
under-
option, you might be able to switch.
Under StreamYard.
Yeah. Nope. Well, hopefully he'll be back in. And Jim, just let me know when you want me to throw up that flyer, and I'll have it ready. Let me go ahead and bring us back in. Hopefully he joins quickly.
477-9966. That's 812-477-9966. AAA Insurance. Be covered by someone who cares about you. Today's guest is brought to you by Reynolds Family Dentistry of Sellersburg. You need $1 million smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you'll get with Reynolds Family Dentistry.
Now back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington and Southern Stone Restaurants.
Welcome back. It is Monday, and that means Charlie Miller is with us, as always. And we are joined now by Colin O'Neill from Cohoughton O'Neill. Colin,
Morning,
how you
guys.
doing, brother? How are you, sir?
I am doing great. How are you?
Good,
Great.
good.
We can't get his camera going, so you don't get to see his beautiful face this morning, so that's our loss. But Colin is with the Cohoughton O'Neill. They took over the golf club at Eagle Point studio, or not the studios, but the golf club at Eagle Point. I'm so used to saying that. And I got to tell you, driving down the road in November and seeing the fairway, number 10 fairway, looking emerald green in November is mind-boggling, because 2 years ago it looked like the Mojave Desert. And that's just to give you an indication of what has gone on here. And that's not a joke. It looks like a piece of Ireland out there.
Thank you very much. Yeah, we're pretty proud of our golf course product right now. Our superintendent, Chad Moritz, has done a fantastic job this year. And Brian Hollingshead, our PGA head golf professional, has complimented him with driving a lot of activity through the club. And our partnership with Psalms Hospitality Group and running the restaurant, it's been a winning formula, and we continue to get better every day, and excited to see what's next.
Yeah, we had a lot. I've seen a lot of events out there, man. Charlie, and we have to get you up here next year to do some of this.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've had a ton of fun. The first annual Dog Shack Dave Scramble was this year. That was a gigantic turnout and a ton of fun. But just all kinds of events you guys have had put on this year.
That's our mantra, really, just driving activity through the club, whether it's special events like golf outings or tournaments on a high school or collegiate level. Or just driving more activity from the Bloomington marketplace. I think before we arrived, there was good activity within the community. However, certain people still saw the golf club at Eagle Point maybe as a private club or just didn't feel welcome outside of that community area. So I think we've been able to capture that Bloomington audience, also Ellettsville, Bedford, places like that, and just reinforming people that we are open to the public. We'd love to have you, whether it be a daily fee golfer or an annual member.
I know there's some listeners here. Forrest is one of them. That he drives up from Georgia every other month or so, it seems like, and stops and plays. Ryan lives up in northern Indiana. He drives down and plays. There was one guy that I just met. I was out playing by myself one day, and he was out by himself, and he was driving from San Antonio to Maine, and this happened to be the midpoint, and which is why he stopped. And I was like, well, that's cool. But he's like, yeah, I kind of like it. That's why I think I'll start stopping. So we had a great round, but it's just weird how people can find a certain place, but once you find a good place, you know it.
Yeah, I would agree. I would. Some people would deem the golf club at Eagle Point as a resort still, just because of its background. Right in the middle of big metropolitan areas in Louisville, Cincinnati, and Indianapolis. We certainly try to capture a lot of people from those different areas, and feel like we've done a good job of that through a lot of different promotional campaigns. We do things like offering discounted golf to people that would probably never visit the facility to play golf. So it gets them in the door, introduces them to our excellent golf course, excellent customer service, and excellent facilities. And we hope to retain those customers. They bring their friends. All of a sudden, activity has, exponentially grown year to year.
Yeah, and we've enjoyed a great partnership with the golf club at Eagle Point since we've been here. It's been awesome. We've loved it. John, put that flyer up, because I know that right now a great deal is going on for memberships to get here at Eagle Point for excellent play, man. And you talk about saving some bucks. There you go for the golfer.
Yeah, excellent deal. We rocked the boat a little bit this year by offering some play passes. So you don't have to become a full annual member to enjoy the golf course year round. So if you don't feel like you'll play 30, 40, 50 times a year, more like 10 or 20, we're offering options this year, whether you're a senior golfer, 60 or over, or a non-senior golfer, that includes golf and cart either for 10 or 20 rounds. And that's basically a 10% discount off our rack rates. So you save a little bit of money there. You can, call a golf club your home 10 or 20 times a year. And then we offer different age category memberships. As you can see, individual would be age 36 through 59, young adults 18 through 35. And then we offer couple offerings for those age groups as well. In the past, about 85 to 90% of our golf membership was within the Eagle Point community. We'd like to see that become more 70-30. We like to see a lot more annual members from outside the community. So had to get a little creative with our offerings this year. Rates are up about 8 to 10% year to year, and so are daily rates. However, I think the product calls for that. I think the demand calls for that, and the marketplace calls for that. So we feel good about these rates. We feel good about the team that we have in place, and we love being down there, and we just can't wait to get started for the 2022 golf season.
Charlie, you a golfer?
Yeah, man. Yeah, unfortunately, I'm like a degenerate, man. I need help.
Well, who do you think you're talking to, man?
Yeah,
Oh, we got plenty of those. Trust me. And,
I need help. Yeah,
I know it's a nice place.
Colin,
know it's a nice place. Eagle Point caters to those people like you and me as well.
Yeah, man. So like when I was Colin, I get the chance to travel a little bit to run basketball camps, and I mean, it was really bad. Several months ago, I was in Iowa. I would play when I land. I would go do a basketball camp for 8 hours. I would play at least 9 after. I had like my best round ever, so I couldn't really sleep the night before. I got up that morning at 6, played 9, got to camp at 8, camped from 9 to 3, then went back before I got to the airport and played 9 at a Muni at right in Iowa, Cedar Rapids area. And I was so exhausted after that, man. I was like, what was I doing? But I couldn't get enough of it.
We love stories like that. People that are just, enthusiastic about the game.
That's right, man. That's right.
So we get a lot of people just, on a lunch break coming out and hitting range balls or trying to squeeze.
That's right.
Our thing is we try to have a yes mentality with everybody that wants to play our golf courses. So we'll find a way for you to get on and play the golf course to the best of our ability. And that goes across our company. We are welcoming of anybody and everybody that wants to play our golf courses. All of our 5 golf courses are public golf courses. We love giving back to the community that we do business in, and we love to see growth in golf activity. We love the game. We're golfers ourselves. We're cut from that fabric. So.
And like I said, Charlie, they cater to people like you and me. Don't worry, because I play with a wealth of guys that are just like us all the time. Yeah, man. Trust me.
That's right. That's right.
They have things like Thursday. You got the Wednesday women's league there, where women have a group where they play and compete, and then the Thursday men's league. And when I say the Thursday men's league, we're talking me and you again, people like us, which it's just a lot of fun.
Of course.
So it's not championship type stuff. It's stuff where you can play. It's a 3-man scramble. It's fun. There's lots of fun stuff that goes on out here as well. And then you guys have a lot of bands on the weekends.
Yes, Sam's Clubhouse is our restaurant operation, and they do all catering down there as well. So they're charged with trying to provide a good variety of entertainment down there with acoustic acts, electric acts, trivia. Bingo is coming out. Look out, everyone. Bingo is coming to the golf club at Eagle Point in December. December 9th is our first date that we have. So just creating variety for people in the community. That's what they like. That's, they like looking forward to things. We offer social memberships down there. They have a pool component, fitness center, fitness classes, and some golf components tied in there as well, like discounts in the golf shop and things like that. So a lot of different things in the oven down there. We're just trying to create a lot of variety and a lot of excitement for people in the Bloomington area.
Charlie, do you play left-handed?
Yes.
Wow. You
do. Yeah. I don't know. I write with my right hand, but I play left-handed. I think that's just watching my dad because he played left-handed. He had clubs. He had like old clubs, wooden clubs.
Persimmon, baby. Persimmon head. I know. That's right. My first set was persimmon head from my uncle.
Yeah, and I saw Tim said I need to watch Caddyshack. I know I watch that I watch it all the time. I watch that all the time.
I don't know how much golf you'll learn from that, but you'll learn some other things. You'll learn plenty of other things.
You saw my shirt. You saw my shirt that I had on that one day. I had that shirt. No, I had on the Caddyshack. The clubhouse. Bushwood. I had a Bushwood shirt. Yeah. So messing around.
You mentioned Brian earlier, Colin, and there's lessons. People can get lessons as well.
Yes, Brian Hollingshead is our PJ head golf professional. He'll be entering his second season next year at the golf club at Eagle Point. He's from Greenwood, Indiana, and he's a diehard IU sports fan. So there you go, folks. He has worked in the Nashville, Tennessee golf market and the Louisville, Kentucky golf market. Everywhere he's gone, he's found success. He's a multiple PGA merchandiser of the year. He's an assistant golf professional of the year. He's a master club fitter with Titleist, and he gave about 60 to 70 golf lessons this year. I think that's a comfortable range for him. If he gives, 1 or 2 golf lessons a day, I think that's kind of what he's looking for. But I feel like I have a good grasp on the marketplace, and in regards to instructors, I don't think anybody would be better than Brian in that area to go to as a novice, intermediate, or expert golfer and learn a thing or two. His approach to the lesson is let you hit 10 or 15 shots, just get comfortable and, listen with his eyes and give feedback and build a swing that's comfortable to the golfer.
Yeah, he's very easygoing, and I've been around Brian quite a bit. He's just a nice, down-to-earth guy. It's like you'd meet anywhere, and except for he's just an exceptionally good golfer and teacher. So he's got that going for him. We'll see what he can do with my game. But, he does a lot. I see him out there giving lessons all the time. Actually saw him getting to play one day with Andy not too long ago. So getting out to check the course out. But I still, like I said, the first thing I said, I cannot believe the shape that the course is in right now in November.
We had a very wet October, as a lot of people know. I think it was the 4th or 5th wettest October in state history. So golf courses are very green right now. With the staff that we have and the equipment continuing to improve, we're starting to kind of, get everything in formation for a successful golf course operation down there.
Besides the great deals that right now for memberships, anything else that I may have missed?
Yeah, we didn't really touch upon the early bird discount, but you can sign up for a 2022 annual membership before November 30th and save $200.
Is that on the flyer? Put that back up.
That is on the flyer, yeah. And
John, if you don't mind.
You can purchase an annual membership in person in the golf shop, over the phone, or through our online store on our website, eaglepoint.com. Point is with an E.
That's a lot of rounds that you're saving right there.
Yeah, it is. I mean, we kind of price these based off, 35 to 45 rounds a year. So if somebody thinks they're going to play that much, and then you got to, factor in the amenities that go with this membership, like unlimited range balls, short game access, 20% off discounts in the golf shop, and we can maintain your handicap on an annual basis as well. So those things have true value as well. So you need to put those in there when you're asking yourself if it makes sense to get an annual membership at the golf club at Eagle Point or not. So I think if you're a range rat, is what we call it. You want to go out there and hit a lot of range balls. Throughout the year, that could have something like a $500, $600 value. So we build that into our membership and make it a little more attractive to those that are considering.
It's like a half a set of golf clubs too, man. That's a lot of savings right there. Well, man, I cannot thank you enough, Colin, for taking time to join us and let us know about all those awesome savings going on at the golf club at Eagle Point. And look forward to getting out there. Like I said, I'm sure that it's going to be packed today as I look outside. It's a gorgeous day out there. Yeah, we have a good 3-run stretch. We had a pretty good weekend out there too. So in the industry in November in Indiana, we call it gravy. And we're having fun so far in November.
Awesome.
John, Charlie, Jim, thank you so much for having me on, and thank you for your partnership.
Awesome, Colin. Appreciate you, man.
Love it. The Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios. We love them. Hey, we got plenty more coming up here on Indiana Sports Beat Radio. We're back with it right after this.
We'll be right back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington and Southern Stone Restaurants.
Whether it's a celebration. Thank you, Colin.
I'll just remove him. I don't know if he knows that how to do it.
Thank you, buddy.
He muted himself.
Thanks a lot, guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you, buddy. Appreciate you.
See you soon.
See if you need anything, let me know.
All right.
Back to
Jim Reamer should be joining this segment. That's what I told him, at least, but we'll see.
Yeah, you can't. There's not a lot to learn watching Caddyshack, except for how to not play golf,
how to hit a mulligan,
or
how to play, how to play in the rain. That was a funny scene.
Oh man, rat farts. Holy cow. Yeah, that sun coming through the window is making it hot.
I saw the girls play too. They probably had an exhibition game and.
Oh, they already did play an exhibition game?
Yeah, they beat somebody like 97-43. I think it's like University of Indy. Yeah.
Dang.
Yeah.
And Kentucky was down at halftime to their exhibition opponent, the men's basketball Kentucky team the other day.
Against Miles College, yeah.
Yeah, Miles College.
Mm-hmm.
Miles College?
They won by 9 in the end.
That's like an NAIA school, right?
It's Division II, and apparently they're the top defensive team in Division II.
Yeah, so again, you got returning players, pride on the line, playing against Kentucky.
In Rupp Arena.
And no one's going to count them in. You know, you can control more on the defensive side, which is going to probably make easy offensive opportunities. And then you got a lot of young guys on the Kentucky side trying to get your chemistry intact. So, you know, I wouldn't make too much of a big deal of it. But
it's just fun because it's Kentucky.
Exactly. Coach Forrest, I love that. Golf scoring comes down to chipping and putting. Who wants to chip and putt, man?
Here's
I don't
Mr.
care about
Reamer.
that. I want to see that ball fly, Forrest.
Coming back from break, though.
0% APR financing over 48 months and $0 down. Or how about a brand new 2021 Honda Passport? Also 0% APR financing over 48 months and $0 down. Get more to your door with AndyMooreHonda.com.
Come see us at the all-new Andy Moore Honda, now in Bloomington.
This segment is brought to you by Remax Advanced Realty, Indie Home Pros team by Cheryl Sizemore. Now back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington and Southern Stone Restaurant.
Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio, coming to you on this Monday with Charlie Miller and myself, and now joined by Jim Reamer. How are you, sir?
Doing well, guys. Thanks for having me again.
Hey, Jim. How you doing?
What's going on, Charlie?
Good, man.
It's about that time of year, man. The basketballs have been rolled out. Yeah, they have been rolled out.
Yeah, practices in the state of Indiana start today.
Oh, high school?
At the high school boys level. Girls started, I want to say 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago.
Well, I told Charlie earlier, there's like 200 college games tomorrow.
Yeah.
At least. It's crazy how many games there are scheduled tomorrow, just tomorrow. But yeah, it's here, man. And then, of course, high school basketball, of course. Everyone looking forward to that as well, always in this state especially.
Yep.
I know you're a Mr. Carmel guy, but who's the teams that are got people coming back this year in Indiana?
Well, they're one of them. Carmel, Cathedral.
They have to. They always are. They got like 6,000 students.
It's they still got to produce them. And the key to Carmel's success short run here, or just the short version, is 3 middle schools. That's basically it. I mean, we got 60 kids in 7th grade, 60 kids in 8th grade that are playing school basketball. So that's where the numbers come from. They're not really having a whole lot of deep tryouts at the high school level and plucking kids out of the general population. But Carmel will be really good. Cathedral will be really good. Homestead will be really good. I think you'll see, obviously, Warren Central will have some guard play to replace that will determine what kind of year they have. But they've got 2 really good forwards, including Deontay Davis, who's going to Louisville. Lawrence North has to replace a ton and basically only return CJ Gunn. And, you look at the kind of athlete Macaulay is on a football field. Imagine what he's like, in a basketball court where he's not necessarily drawing any defensive attention and just being able to be a really strong, good athlete and play hard. And he was really effective for them. And even losing him hurts. I mean, CJ is basically it as far as experienced varsity players for Lawrence North. Then you'll get schools like, Valparaiso, Chesterton, those schools up there. Crown Point will have a shot at being really good. I know I'm going to miss some schools. Mishawaka Marion at the 3A level should be really good, and Brebeuf. will be strong. Silver Creek, which has had a really nice run, will be. I thought they were good in June. They're not going to be the big favorites they were coming into last year. North Harrison down by your end, Jim, will be good, the 3A level. 2A for me, it's Linton, where Joey Hart is. They're going to be awfully difficult to beat. And then, you go down. I don't want to try to leave anybody out, but there's just a lot of guys that graduated through the 2A class, and the Linton should be sitting pretty. And then you look at 1A with, you get Bar Reeve with an opportunity. Although sometimes I can't remember if they're at 2A because they were, or if they and Blackhawks
championship level.
Yeah, they do the deal here, Charlie. We have a deal where if you have, I'm going to say, too much success, they move you up a class.
Move you up. Mm-hmm,
and so the kids who have the success graduate, and the kids who are left behind, then have to take a pummel.
Pay the piper.
Yeah. and really, in a lot of cases, it is just a cycling through of talent, and it's a really good class of kids that come through, and they don't really ever get a chance to replace it. But, Bar Reeve will always be good. North Davies will be good at 1A level. University, I think they're 2A now. Tinley, charter school here in Indianapolis. I mean, they kind of got throttled by Bar Reeve in the semi-state. I think at one point Bar Reeve scored 27 in a row.
Wow.
In a stretch. But Bar Reeve pretty much lost everybody but one key guy. Now they have a good JV group, but they lost everybody but one key guy, and Tinley returns everybody. And they've got a very, very good, skilled athlete and a combination of athletic kids that they're going to be a force. They would be competitive at the 3 and 4A level with a lot of the talent they have. So,
well, it's going to be fun. It always is. When the high school sports roll around. What is in Texas? I know football is gigantic. What's high school basketball like in Texas, Charlie? I know it's competitive. So you got some large cities. You got such big cities with Houston and Dallas, Fort Worth, and all that, San Antonio, but.
The southern sector of the city in Dallas is pretty strong. You have Cedar Hill, South Oak Cliff, Kimball. A lot of those players end up playing the Big 12, the TCUs, the SMUs, the Texas, and you have some strong teams. Now I'm going to follow a lot closer because I got players that are now older playing high school ball now. I know a couple of my young guys that I've been training since they've been in 5th grade, they play tomorrow, Wednesday at Cedar Hill. That's always a good game. I mean, that's a really good game. They go to Plano West. They go to Julius Randle's old, the school he would have went to, I should say, Plano West. So it's competitive, and I always tell people, for me, tournaments in the spring, summertime, you have a lot of national tournaments that come to Dallas. The GASO, have you ever heard of that, Jim? Great American Shootout. I mean, you have a lot, you have a lot of tournaments that come to Dallas. All the brands come here, the Under Armours, the Adidas Gauntlet. So it's pretty impressive in the spring and summertime to see how much talent you got in the area.
Well, it's Dallas and Indy and Atlanta.
Yeah.
And then Kansas City. And Louisville to some extent. Sometimes Indy, Louisville swap out in certain things, but yeah, Atlanta's a big destination for us every year. Dallas is certainly, if we went one direction, Dallas would be part of that. Birmingham is the Adidas direction. And I'm glad that we've got three major, really, although sometimes they want, we've got a place called Finch Creek here that's an extension of Graham Park, the Pacers Athletic Complex up in Westfield. It is owned by the same people. They have much more indoor turf type options there than Graham Park, at least the basketball facility does. And they've got 5 courts. Sometimes when Nike, Under Armour, Adidas come rolling in, they want 6 courts or bust, and at least 6. And so we've got Best Choice Fieldhouse and Fishers, Pacers Athletic Center in Westfield. Best Choice has 6 courts. Graham Park has 8 courts, and then Finch Creek has 5. So we do have 3 major facilities here, just within about a 7-8 mile radius of each other.
Yeah,
that house some pretty good basketball events.
You know, Jermaine O'Neal has a place here. Real quick, Jermaine O'Neal has Drive Nation. Yeah, Drive Nation is right by the airport. So it's a key location. And then you have Game On, which is in Fort Worth area. They host a lot of Adidas Gauntlet tournaments. You know, you said it, the criteria is right there, 6+ courts. So yeah. Then you have also Bob Knight Fieldhouse. Funny story. We'll talk about that one day. It's not called Bob Knight Fieldhouse anymore. It's called Duncanville Fieldhouse. But we'll talk about how Coach Knight's name got on the building, and everybody's scratching their head. And
I've never heard of that.
Yeah, it was 2 people. That's why I'm in Dallas. We have to talk about that
next week because.
Yeah, that's why I'm in Dallas. I'm in Dallas because of that.
Well,
that's literally why I'm in Dallas.
That next week.
Yeah,
we used to go to Houston before Nike got organized. We used to go down to Houston as part of a Nike. We were part of a Nike program. So before all the EYBL stuff was official, we would go down to Houston and play basically in what Josh Pastner's dad would run down there.
Right.
And we would play in the Colony. That would be the primary location.
Right.
And then we'd always stay at Bush, and we'd end up driving 40 minutes to games, and nothing in Houston is close. Is Dallas like that?
No, the saying here is everything is 20 minutes away. Literally. That's what you say here. Because you got all the highways. You got George Bush Highway, you got the tollway, you got the tollway. Everything is relatively 25 minutes away. I mean, because you have that. You know, you're paying a big toll, pun intended, because you're traveling toll, because you're not traveling streets or the access roads.
Yeah, we would stay at a hotel near Bush, Intercontinental, basically. So that way we would, if we weren't going to have a close drive to the games, we wanted at least to be right there by the airport. So
correct.
But no, it's fine. Yeah, Kansas City is the same way. We play out there quite a bit, and nothing there is close to something else. It just seems like. And here, now here we have greater demand. You know, so
makes sense.
It does make sense that, you know, and there's actually going to be a facility go up in Lebanon. So really on the north side, we're going to have 4 major facilities, not to mention Carmel High School has 8 courts. Fisher's High School has possibility of 8 courts. HSC, Hamilton Southeastern, which is also the same district as Fisher's, has the possibility of 7 courts. Zionsville has the possibility of 7 courts. So
wow.
There's just a lot of, and Westfield has the possibility, at least in the high school. I'm talking about just the high schools. Westfield has, you could split the varsity gym in half and go, you could go 6 courts at Westfield.
Wow.
And then we all have middle schools with 2 or 3 gyms. So,
yeah, that's wow. Yeah, that's
the
amazing.
Thing that everyone's looking forward to here, Jim, is the start of college basketball, and Indiana season gets underway tomorrow night against, was that Western Michigan? I keep forgetting. Every Eastern and Washington, every school that's in Michigan, Western, Eastern, Southern, Central, they're all playing somebody tomorrow. And the same with the Illinois. You got Western, Eastern Illinois. They're all playing someone tomorrow. It seems like half of them are playing a team in the Big Ten, which is kind of funny.
Well, it's the MAC. It's the MAC Big Ten showcase, right? It seems like every year.
There you go. Looking forward to seeing his Indiana team for the first time. We talked about that earlier, that it's going to be it's a whole new team of sorts. Half the faces are new. It's a new coaching staff. New style of play. Interested to see the was it the 4 out 1 in style that Coach Woody is trying to bring, but defense, as you talked about, which was a mantra of Coach Knight. But defense, I've always heard defense wins championships. I don't care if you're talking about football or whatever you're talking about. Defense wins championships. And not too many teams win titles that are not good defenders in whatever sport they're playing.
It didn't take as much skill, right, Jim? Reamer, I mean, as far as like scoring, attitude, effort, desire, emotional, mental, and focus. And, you know, you're 80% of the time you're playing off the ball. So how much focus you have on that? What's the emphasis on anybody can get the ball after you rebound and push it down the court? I think that helps. tremendously too to beat down the court. So that again, that to me is my look, see, wait and see how we play defensively, how you make adjustments. I think you control that a little bit better, and then let offense kind of slowly but surely come.
And
because my last point is we know Trace can put the ball in the hole, but it's not like he's bringing the ball down the court, then creating his own play. More so, you got to get him the ball. So, you want to see more offensive production from other players that can kind of help him in that regard.
And I would encourage fans to, at any level of basketball, to quit looking at points per game and start considering pace when they consider how good of a defense it is. I mean, you think of some of the games too back in the day was, especially when like Indiana, like in 1980s, well, in 87, when Indiana beat UNLV, they had no problem running with them and pushing the ball, and they got stops when they needed it. The ability to guard wasn't shown in the points allowed category. It was shown in the points per possession category, and that's something that's presented more and more. Pace is now a common stat, but there's still a lot of people that get wrapped up in points per game. And I mean, if Indiana's going to play at a faster pace, which is what we all kind of hope, they're going to give up more points per game. So hopefully people don't start making comparisons of this team wasn't as good defensively as the last team has been the last 4 years. What's going on? Why, we're going to end up having a lot of those discussions, especially on the forum, Jim. So where we have a lot of those misconceptions that continually get preached.
Yeah, that's I'd stay away from there. That's a dangerous place to go.
It's my domain. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just it's a rough area. It's talking about
it's always been about page hits, page views.
There you go. But as the season gets ready to get started, the Big Ten itself, we already know who we think is going to be good. We think that Michigan and Purdue are going to be at the top because of what they return. There's a lot of teams that there's been changes. Illinois, we don't know what they're going to be like. Michigan State, we don't know what they're going to be like. Maryland, Ohio State, Indiana's one of those teams. Everybody has predicted, Indiana finishing here, there. Nobody knows where anybody's going to finish right now. I don't think, because I don't know that group of teams that are probably 3 to 7. You could probably just throw them in a blender and mix them up right now, because you don't know who's improved where and how they're going to finish. So where Indiana ultimately finishes, I think they could finish anywhere from 3-4 to 7. And it may not be a game difference between that.
No, and there have been times where it hasn't been. Again, people get fascinated on where they place in the standings. My question is record relative to the rest of the group. I mean, you can have one year where you're 8-10 and you finish. What was there one time a tie for 5th was 8-10, and then the next year another year somebody's 10-8 and they're 7th. So who had the better season? So a lot of that stuff plays out in the wash. But obviously they look positional or rotational diversity, the ability to play differently, big, small. That's going to be a key for their success, especially if you're talking about 1 or 2 places in the standings, and then just the ability to hit perimeter shots. That's something
which is something Indiana has not done well for the last couple of years, and if they can, that will obviously change some things.
Yeah, neither one. The injury to Brunk really hurt them last year. I know production-wise, people don't see it in the stats. They don't get a sense for it, but just they missed his presence in practices. They missed his presence in games. It's a physical presence, allowing Trace to do different things. Michael Durr does the exact same thing for them this year. His health, I think, is going to be kind of a small wild card for them. Not that they're not going to be talented enough, but I think if they can play lineups where Trace isn't always drawing the biggest guy on the block, I think it's going to free him up to do different things and really probably leave him fresher toward the end of games too.
Hey, Charlie Miller's with us and Jim Reamer as well. We've got more coming up. Let's take a quick break. Come back. We've got more basketball talked about when we come back here on Indiana Sports Beat Radio. Come to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios.
The Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington and Southern Stone Restaurant.
Whether it's a celebration. Man, I got a fly in here driving me insane.
I had to fly my cup of water at the beginning of the show.
Well, at least he killed him. I wish mine would fly into a cup of water. He's on my microphone.
I see him.
Man, I hate flies. I hate flies. It's like it's warm, so he came out of his dormancy, I guess.
Friendly reminder that we ended at 56 today, too.
Oh, thank you. You'll have to remind me again, too.
I'll just shoot you a text when we got a few minutes left.
Oh, yes. Thank you for reminding me, Michael.
Oh, post-game show?
Yeah.
Is Todd Leary going to be on it?
Yeah.
Charlie, they have they start games this week, huh? Down there, basketball.
High school? Yeah. They start today. I know girls started last week. Boys start this week.
Mm-hmm. You would think, there has been an occasional push here in Indiana to hold off on starting the boys basketball until the end of football season.
But I think we start school earlier than you all too, because do you all go to school after Labor Day or what?
No, we do August.
August? Okay, yeah, okay.
Indiana's almost now a year-round state.
Okay.
I wish they would wait till football was over. It's almost impossible now, though.
Because there's a school here called St. Mark's. They've had some players move on to play in the last several years. Interesting enough, tryouts are this week. They play their first game Saturday.
Yeah, I couldn't.
But I'm like, okay, unless he already has his set solid. But I'm like, that's
most of them do.
Yeah,
we have all the schools here, all the public schools here, almost definitively have to have tryouts, and it's usually a 2-day process of nothing else. They might be late on installation stuff, like they might not get a whole lot done, but by Wednesday, I'm pretty much sitting in somebody's practice. Maybe not every day, but most every day until the start of the season. So, and here the traditional start is Thanksgiving week.
Mm-hmm.
Used to be different when they used to let teams that didn't have football teams play early, but then they just set it back, and they did a lot of that stuff to make it congruent with the fall sports and make it congruent with girls basketball and just a lot of arbitrary reasons.
For Indiana Sports Beat Radio.
This segment is brought to you by Aurora Specialty Sleep Clinic. Now back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coy, presented by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington and Southern Stone Restaurant.
Welcome back on this good-looking Monday out there for November. Man, it just seems like when I was a kid, November just was cold, but man, it looks beautiful outside today. Take advantage of it. Of course, Charlie Miller with me as always, and Jim Reamer has joined us talking a little basketball, high school basketball. We were just talking about some people wish that they would wait till football season ended to start basketball in Indiana. And I'm like, it would be cool, I guess, for those guys that carry over. But I'm sure there's a lot of reasons not to wait pushes the basketball season further into the spring and other reasons as well, Jim.
Yeah, that's just, the traditional start is always Thanksgiving week for the boys. That's when the bulk of the state had started. There would be some schools like Ben Davis and Warren Central oftentimes will not play their first game until the first weekend of December. And back in the day before they changed some of the rules, if you didn't have high school football, you could start your first game. You could have your first game basically next weekend. But that was also back when we were starting practices October 15th instead of waiting now till that's the part, Charlie, I referred to in the break, where what's been impacted the most was that high school boys coaches can't start until the 3 Mondays before Thanksgiving. So basically they have a 2-week window of nothing but practice, whereas before they could have a 6-week window of nothing.
Right.
And that was they did a lot of that to not interfere with fall sports. They did a lot of that because, fall sports complain that they only have 2 weeks of practice to start their season before they play games because, most schools, because otherwise they'd be starting practice in mid-July.
That's right.
For football and volleyball especially. So, no, I get it from Jim's perspective, what you said during the break, Jim, about, it's easier to cover, it's easier for those students that do multiple sports. But really, you've got to the point now where starting next week, you're only going to have about 8 football teams. That's not true. You're going to have 12 football teams left after a couple of weeks, and there isn't that much bleed over from one season to the next unless you get a team that gets to state finals.
And at least the players that do carry over, they're already in shape, and if they're healthy, ready to go. Yeah. So they can jump right in. Michael asked about the basketball postgame show tomorrow. Absolutely. Wouldn't think of not having it, of course. Coming to you from Southern Stone Restaurant, the same place as the coaches' shows are coming to you from. So looking forward to that. So, as soon as the game is over, shortly thereafter, I should say, because I'm going to have to travel from the Simon Scott Assembly Hall to Southern Stone Restaurant. But absolutely. Forrest commented a minute ago, you talked about Joey Brunk being hurt last year, and he says if Durr is healthy, he's a bigger asset than Brunk, which may be truth because I think he has a little bit more shooting capability, but I haven't gotten to see him play, so I don't know what he's going to be like underneath, and he's been hurt. So the greatest ability is availability. So we'll have to see how that goes, but I'm not sure if that's true or not, but it may be because he may be more of the type of player that Woody is looking for that can rotate in and out, guys.
He's bigger, 2 inches bigger. And I don't know if he's longer or not, but he certainly looks long. He would be a physical presence, a greater one, but not that Brunk wasn't. A lot of it was. I do think though that Brunk would be a better, even though Brunk was not a great off-ball defender. I think he probably is a little bit more attuned with rotations and being a better defender off the ball when he arrived at IU compared to what Durr was like when he arrived at IU. But then that's just me looking at defensive film when, of Durr, last year. So before he came in.
And Charlie, since you're our, no offense to Jim, I'm our IU basketball expert.
Oh, go for it. No, he played there. You're good. He's wearing the shirt. He's got the jacket on. I'm wearing the freaking Butler. I got Butler sweatshirts.
So when I do basketball camps and I see a player come in with a PGC, another camp, like a point guard college, and all that stuff. So I just pull up my Coach Knight card and just, I say some choice words to him, but just in a loving way. But I'm with you. I saw that sweater that he had on. I just let it go. Got some good people at Butler. Dave Ragland. Dave's at
Rags
Butler,
is awesome.
right?
Yeah, Rags.
So Dave's a good. So
4 or 5 jobs. So yeah,
my point. I go back with Dave to his USI days. So we go way back. So
they have at every turn. They have at every turn, other than Lowry, who Val brought in with him from Milwaukee.
Right.
Everybody they've hired in the last 15 years has been somebody that I knew. Even
a lot of ties,
like Lewis, like when they brought Mike Lewis in. And it's not all Butler ties, but it's just
right.
Then they bring in Rags, and that's brilliant. And I haven't really gotten a chance to know. It's one of those deals where I know everybody else on staff, so I never talk to Omar. But I like Omar in practice. He's very engaged. But yeah, Rags is here. I'm happy for him that he was here, and it's better than being out. No offense to Southern Utah, but it's better than being out.
Yeah,
just an area of the country he's not used to recruiting. He's going to be really effective here.
Of course. Yeah, so I saw that. I was like, okay, it's all good. But I hear your point, Jim. So what's your question?
Which Jim? He had it.
Jim Coyle.
Coyle had a question.
What are you expecting to see from what you know about Woody, what he's done, what he's trying to probably do with the players that he has brought in, the players that he has already? What should fans look for Tuesday night? It's kind of hard to. I know it's just a guess, really, because we don't know. But I don't know that there's a specific thing other than defense first, because that's what he's preached.
I want to see him coach. To be honest with you, I look forward to see his sideline demeanor. Is he going to be up? Is he going to be intent? Is it going to be the assistant coaches? Is he going to sit down the whole time? I want to watch him coach. I can't really put too much stock into play because, again, I mean, it's like I'm saying what everybody's saying. I'm trying to say the right things. Defense, attitude, adaptability. I just want to watch him coach. I think it's going to be interesting because I remember him watch from when he's at Atlanta, when he's at New York. As an assistant coach in the NBA, I mean, they just really sit down and watch it all. But I want to watch him coach. I want to watch him coach. I want to watch his adjustments. I want to watch him when we get scored on 2 or 3 times in a row. How I want to watch that. I'm more excited about seeing that more than what the players are going to do and what they're not going to do. I don't want to put too much stock in it right now.
And I'm looking forward to it. Him coming out. It's his first cameo. He got to come out for Hoosier Hysteria, which was cool, but it's not the same as your first game as the head coach at Indiana. That has to be really special for him. I'll pull this up tomorrow, but I was fortunate to talk to him at Big Ten Media Days and ask him that. We'll pull that up tomorrow. But that's got to be just beyond cool for a guy who grew up in Indianapolis, who played here, played for Bob Knight, and now he's the guy.
Yeah, Jim, go ahead, Jim Rubio.
Well, that's
Jim.
Well, I'll just address what Jim was going to say, or what Jim just said. That's the narrative that puts him into the father, almost like the paternal position of taking care of the program, of fostering back the tradition, fostering back the culture that was there for so many years. But what Charlie said is it has to be that way on the court. I mean, how excited were we when they hired Archie Miller? How excited were we when they hired Crean? I mean, Sampson was the one that I was questioning because it just seemed like he was one step ahead of the posse, so to speak, because he was getting out of Oklahoma before they were getting rid of him, right? So, and obviously Kelvin's proven that he's a good coach. There's no question, and of course the rules that he violated back then are no longer violations. But well, yeah, there's that. But. No, I think, Charlie, how much stake, really what I was going to do was ask you a question. How much stake should we put in, again, I go back to pace numbers, offensive rating numbers, defensive rating numbers for when he was the head coach of the Knicks and the Falcons, the Hawks. Hawks. Yeah. Should we put any correlation to that? Because I've looked at that a lot as people have tried to anticipate what to expect Indiana-wise. You think that's correlation?
I think it's difficult because you're talking about pros versus amateurs, right? I mean, and in a sense of there's a little more control, I think, at that pro level because you're going to have 5 to 7 solid players going to play night in, night out, and analytics play that points per possession matter more. Your players even know that. Hey, look, players even know that. I'm going for a layup. I'm kicking out for a 3. Like I'm gonna give up a layup, right? Hey, but I'm at the rim. I'm gonna pass it. College, that's not the thought process,
right?
So,
and I come in with like answer to my own question. Of course, his best teams at New York had Stoudemire and Melo, neither of whom were ever any good off the ball, and only functional on the ball.
Right.
His Atlanta teams. He's basically always had it's funny. He's always had a better defensive rating than an offensive rating.
Correct.
So that bodes well. And, a lot of the defensive rating stuff, of course, is about efficiency, and the game in that regard has changed. There's way more threes now in what you were talking about, where it is more points per possession than just points.
Yeah. And that's why I'm saying I feel there's going to be more there's going to be more of a push defensively on that desire, on calm down, let me I am the captain of the ship, just control what you can, play hard defense, play smart, let that dictate, proverbial way of saying as a coach player, let defense dictate what you do offensively. Let's not slow down to run offense, push the ball, quick strike, fast break, transition break, play fast, win the first 2 steps. I think that's going to be pushed more than anything for these first several games, to then find an identity I talked about, then find an identity on your rotations. Because you have no idea what you did against in Bahamas and what you did against in the secret scrimmage. You still have no clue. You have no clue. And you hope that we talked about the buy-in from the guys like the Anthony Lills. You hope that they help you and they show up and they add value to what you're looking to bring as well.
I know there's no time on when you can find your identity because you don't know, but the quicker you find that identity, the better your team is going to be.
Yeah, the better.
Well, it'll definitely be sort of figured out when they got Syracuse, Nebraska, Wisconsin back to back to back. By then they'll already be hopefully be 2-0 in the MAC. Eastern Michigan, Northern Illinois, which those are. I'm not knocking it. I was just my comment earlier about how they always play the MAC schools, and there they are. I mean, that makes sense geographically. St. John's, and then they should have 3. Although Marshall, you talk about the guy, D'Antoni plays just like his brother wants to play.
Mm-hmm.
I've watched their practices; they've been fun.
And the thing is about playing those teams is that's their big games, man. They know they can sneak in there and knock off an Indiana.
That's right.
Or a team of that stature. They live on that for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
Well, guys, it has been an absolute blast as always. I cannot thank both of you enough. Man, it's just cannot wait to start doing this. It's basketball just seems to be a little bit more exciting. There's just lots more of it, I guess, going on because we got the high school aspect of it as well. So we look forward to getting into that. And we've got the football playoffs that have begun as well. So we can get to talk about that each week as well. Mm-hmm. Looking for it. Tomorrow, college basketball gets started in earnest. Indiana with their game tomorrow night. And then again on Friday, you've got Coach Woody's show tonight. What's that?
Nothing. You got to go.
Coach Woody's show tonight from Southern Stone, and we the post-game show tomorrow night as well. Thanks, guys, and until we do it again, I'm Jim Coyle. I will see you on the radio.
Appreciate it, guys.
See you guys. See you, Charlie. Thanks, Jim.
All right, Jim.